At what point do you call self-care just a prioritization of yourself before others? I think it's overcorrection today in our generation. I think we've focused, it's a little bit scary to think about. And I think that's a problem of society is because we need to do hard work. Hard work is what gets the world moving. It's what lets us progress as humanity, as a humankind, as a species. We need to adapt. We need to create new things. We need to improve. Not everyone is out to get you. I can't help but see it. I can't unsee it. I got a serious one for y'all today. Eating lunch right now, but I just had a quick thought. I think that self-care, I've been thinking a lot about self-care and the state of our world and where we're at in terms of caring for ourselves and not caring for others. And it occurred to me that I really feel like our idea of self-care has made us into a culture and generation where we prioritize ourselves more than anything, and self-care has almost become an excuse to not care for others when that was never really the initial intent. I'm Anthony. If you don't know me, I'm an ICU nurse. I also compete as a competitive bodybuilder, among some other things I do, but I see this a lot in the hospital, just caring for patients and seeing that unfortunately a lot of the patients that I care for don't even have family visiting them at such a crucial time in their lives. And it really sticks out to me that it's more common than you might think. And you would think that at the end of your life, probably the most vulnerable time, this is when the people that love you the most would be there to help you, but it's just not often the case. It's always that old grandma and there's no one coming, or they say they don't have family, but in reality, their family just wants nothing to do with them. But I don't know, it's crazy to me, and it reminds me every day because I work 3 days a week, and it's hard to get that off your mind when you're off work. And it's hard to not think about because it really is a big part of my life as a nurse, just caring for people that are really sick and at the end of their life. But going back to I think the shift that happened, self-care is great. I think it's an important thing. It's an important necessity in our lives. Obviously, we all need to care for others care for others, but what point do you call that just selfishness? But at what point do you call self-care just a prioritization of yourself before others? Right, and the whole definition of being selfless is putting others before yourself. So how does that make sense for you to care for yourself and call that self-care, and then that override your ability to care for someone else? I don't know. I think it's overcorrection today in our generation. I think we've focused so much on ourselves that we lack that focus in other people. I just think about it takes a lot. It's a burnout in the hospital as nurses, caring for people and is part of our job, right? We don't really get a choice in that. And that sounds bad, but I think it also goes to show that a lot of nurses, they can work for money, and that's true. I've talked to many a few that have done that and that still do that because it's a lucrative career. But at the same time, I really do think a nurse that cares for someone deep down inside is so much more impactful than someone that just is working there for the money. I would want someone that's caring for my mom or even taking care of myself to really love their job, to know what they're doing, to be there because they want to help people. And that's what you expect when you go into healthcare. But unfortunately, that isn't the reality. Something I don't know. I think about that at work, and I feel like along the lines of self-care and these ideas about taking care of yourself. I don't know, it's this change in language of we set boundaries, and yes, we put up these things, but I think the boundaries have almost become walls. I think these boundaries that we set up as nurses, as people that are trying to protect their own peace, right, quote unquote, are really walls that we put up and not let anyone else come inside, and almost saying no is the default. Can you help me with this weekend? No. And any form of inconvenience becomes almost this protection of boundaries, and that's something that we can always almost quote resort to if we're in the case where even if we're able to help someone and we don't want to, we can always say, no, I'm just protecting my boundaries. I don't have the capacity to. I don't know how it's going to play out in the generation that I'm in the generation that you guys are in that are watching this. But I can't help but think the way we're moving in life, the way our culture is moving towards a culture of self-centeredness rather than selflessness, it's a little bit scary to think about. And I think the problem with there being endless amount of self-focus on self-focus, if you will, is that we've created this culture where personal comfort is more important than our obligations, right? We prioritize just sitting around doing the things that we love and not having to bend over backwards or doing anything remotely uncomfortable over any kind of obligations, responsibilities, things that require hard work. I think that's a problem of society, is because we need to do hard work. Hard work is what gets the world moving. It's what lets us progress as humanity, as a humankind, as a species. We need to adapt. We need to create new things. We need to improve. But without that kind of intentionality, without that kind of purpose in the things we're doing, I think we lose sight of a lot of our capabilities as humans to progress and to improve on the little things that really matter, even in the smallest of ways. And I think, yes, I realize relationships are demanding and every relationship is important in its own way, but I think we almost treat relationships these days as threats in our life. Every extra friend we make is going to be another opportunity for them to ask me what they like, to tell me what they need from me. And we see relationships almost as a transactional thing where we're just wondering, someone wants to be my friend, what do they want? But I think challenging that default is so important because not everyone is out to get you. I don't think everyone else, I think there's still good out there in the world. I think there's still potential for us as a human race, as a humankind, to do good things for good people for no purpose at all, just for the sake of a random act of kindness, right? Well, I think in all that being said, I think there's irony in it too. Constant self-focusedness, it just makes us more anxious. It makes us more worried about what our future is going to look like because we're so focused on ourselves that all we can think about is more of our own problems. When I really think that helping others and thinking more about what others need takes away the focus from your own problems and allows you to almost see the bigger picture, if you will. It's not like you're avoiding your own issues. I'm not saying push your stuff under the rug and help everyone else around you, because biblically, if you have a plank in your own eye, you gotta address that first before you talk to your brother with that splinter in his eye. But to be real, like, you have to, there's a point in time where you have to pull it back and realize that the things you're doing are in some ways self-centered. The things that I'm doing right now, I'm realizing are all about me, are all about progressing as in my career, are all about progressing in my bodybuilding career, are all about making sure that I'm the healthiest that I can be, right? If everyone was focused on that, then what would happen? I think we would all be pretty independent people. But I really don't think that we were created to be alone. I don't think we were created to be independent. I think we are a dependent species because the way we grew up back in the day when they were hunter and gatherers, there's a purpose for everyone in society. I don't think that's changed at all. It just looks a little differently. I think we all still play an important role in society, but it looks a little different in the ways that we contribute, in terms of there's engineers, there's doctors, there's nurses. There's no way that I'm going to be, as a nurse right now, there's no way I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, and everything else, and a truck driver, and a tech manager, or a web designer. There's no way I can do every single role in the world in my lifetime. And even if I was able to, I wouldn't be able to do them all at once. And in order for the world to run the way it does, you need people in your life to do that with. So I think it's important. Take care of yourselves, take care of others, but know that there's a balance in that. Know that there is some kind of cohesion in that there is not just one just extreme of all I do is take care of myself and I don't worry about anyone else because all I can focus on is myself, right? I think that can be an unhealthy attitude to be thinking through. But at the same time, if you're always helping others, if you're always putting all your time in others, you're not having that time to address your own issues. I think main point is, I don't even know what I'm saying here, honestly. This was like a session, but know that there is this shift between the focus on self-care and this lean towards selfishness now, and I can't help but see it. I can't unsee it. I don't know. Whatever, guys. See ya.